What could be called the lifeblood of the economy? Well, probably the transportation of various goods. Where there's logistics, there's economic vitality. In Russia, despite all the sanctions, freight turnover continues to grow. Coming up, we'll show you how infrastructure is developing and how cargo transportation companies are expanding. And here's our first story. Made in Russia. Portowy projekt 22, Murmansk, Murmansk region, Russia. What should I wear for filming at a coal port? Well, I think a light-colored jacket is just the thing. Now, don't think I've lost my mind. You see, the port is located within Murmansk city limits and makes a real effort not to create dust. In other words, to be environmentally friendly. So let this light jacket be the test. In fact, the construction of Murmansk itself began with this very port. Murmansk Commercial Seaport is the oldest enterprise in this region. This September, we'll be celebrating its 110th anniversary. Why did the port emerge right here? The water depth allows large vessels to enter. The ice-free Kola Bay opens into the open ocean, marks the beginning of the Northern Sea Route, and provides access to key logistics hubs. So this historic port is currently among the country's top 10 largest by cargo transshipment volume. These include coal, iron ore concentrate, iron ore pellets, anthracite, petroleum coke, and of course, general cargo. They've even unloaded massive wind turbine blades here. But the main cargo is coal. Last year, 11.5 million tons were processed. I understand that coal handling is a dusty business. Since the port is located within city limits, what measures are being taken to protect the environment? Look, several different dust suppression systems have been installed throughout the port, designed to produce fine water mist. The moisture binds with dust particles, settles them, and prevents them from spreading to surrounding areas. To create an effective water screen, the droplets must be precisely sized. That's why the 14 units are technically sophisticated. They only resemble snow machines at ski resorts on the surface, and they're just part of the system. There are also mobile units, vacuum pumps, and nozzles mounted directly on the equipment. They're installed on sorting facilities, in receiving bunkers, and for material loading from the stacker. These systems are designed to operate in extremely low temperatures, providing dust suppression year-round, around the clock. And everything runs automatically. These units are assembled in Russia. Overall, the priority is to use domestic equipment whenever possible. For example, the Vitya's crane, the first of its kind in the country, effortlessly lifts 124 tons. The port was also the first in the country to build protective screens to shield city residents from dust. The design and construction of the barrier was science-based, with researchers determining the optimal specifications and perforation sizes. Last year, working with the Institute for System Programming of the Russian Academy of Sciences, they calculated how to further improve their environmental efforts. The water cannons, which will increase in number, will be adjustable in height. Well, our filming is almost complete. And look, my jacket is perfectly clean. I didn't get all grimy. There's white snow underfoot. My boots are fine too. But of course, a jacket isn't exactly an objective measure. Here are the objective indicators. Everything's in the green zone. The port was also the first in the country to open an environmental monitoring center. This system allows us to forecast the environmental situation within a time frame of 1 hour to 3 days. Is the software installed here Russian-made? Yes, the environmental program is comprehensive. There's an agreement with the Federal Nature Service and Ministry of Nature. The ministry, by the way, recognized the port as one of the leaders in implementing eco-friendly technologies. Winner in the Best Environmental Enterprise category, the experience turned out to be unique, and such things should be shared. Can we say that the experience with these systems is being applied elsewhere? Yes, absolutely. Many solutions were implemented here for the first time. Not just in ports, but in the country as a whole. If the port operates, so to speak, without fuss or dust, everyone benefits. The residents, many of whom are employees, and the country, which needs to develop its infrastructure. The Northern Sea Route is an economic artery. It's an important project that no challenges will put on pause. We are doing everything to actively develop the Arctic and the Northern Sea Route, and the Murmansk region is a flagship of this movement. Huge thanks to the government leadership and the President for hearing us. The President makes key important decisions aimed at developing these projects, including those we initiate from the ground up, and discuss at the State Council Commission on the Northern Sea Route and the Arctic. Look at the Northern Sea Route map. Enormous export potential, all of Asia. Cargo travels much faster than through the Suez Canal. Murmansk Commercial Seaport is a key hub on this route. Great attention is being paid to developing exports abroad, especially to friendly countries. A leading role here is played by the Russian Export Center. Southeast Asian countries, starting with China, it's a very large market, very deep. Everyone is waiting for various restrictions to be lifted to sign export contracts. Of course, this is also a very important export strategy for many Russian companies. Other Southeast Asian countries, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and so on. These are very important goals to achieve. The Russian Export Center is part of VEBRF. The group supports projects vital to the country. All of them create new living conditions in cities, schools, public transportation, water treatment facilities, water purification, small and medium businesses, modern urban environments, land preparation for comprehensive residential development, large industrial enterprises, small industrial enterprises. There's hardly a project that doesn't address this goal. As for freight transportation specifically, since 2021, more than 13 airports have been built or modernized, and the export promotion program until 2030 has been approved by the government. By 2030, non-commodity, non-energy exports should grow by at least 2/3. A 1.5x increase in agricultural exports will be supported by developing assistance measures, holding various events, and creating necessary infrastructure both abroad and here at home. Tatarstan has a perfect example. One belt, one road. That's the poetic name of a new container terminal in the Alabuga Special Economic Zone in Tatarstan. Several train compositions can be processed here daily. Why such a name, and what benefits will this infrastructure bring? You're about to find out. China proposed the global economic project One Belt, One Road back in 2013. Two routes for developing global freight, by sea and by land. 152 countries became participants, but Russia's role, given its vast territory, is enormous. Appropriate infrastructure is needed. Roads, ports, terminals like this one. Construction of the terminal began just over a year ago, right at the intersection of logistics routes. The goal is ambitious, to process 2.4 million tons of cargo annually, or at least 100,000 containers whether standard containers, tank containers, or refrigerated containers. By the way, we'll have a dedicated area for reefer containers, where over 100 units can be connected simultaneously. How do they plan to handle so much cargo? The platform is over a kilometer long, and an entire train can be unloaded immediately, all at once. 71 containers in 3 hours, up to 8 train compositions per day. Absolutely different types of cargo, meaning everything that comes in containers, whether grain, petrochemical products, or spare parts, will handle it. Modern equipment is here to help, specialized cranes and loaders. Also, the entire facility is equipped with a roller conveyor. This is a unique key technology that no other terminal currently offers. They are needed so that we can position a container so it partially extends into the warehouse area. In other words, we want to increase automation and reduce the risk of human error. Construction is not finished yet. The mega warehouse is scheduled to launch this fall. It will house about 7 of these storage zones. The total area is 100,000 square meters, meaning we'll be able to handle practically any type of cargo there. That includes temperature-controlled, bulky, and oversized cargo. But don't assume that the terminal is just a receiving point for Chinese goods. Last autumn, the first export train with Russian cargo was launched. From the outset, our plan has been to balance export and import flows, essentially creating a closed-loop supply chain. Currently, we handle petrochemicals, which we actively export, as well as grain crops. Construction on such a scale is a costly endeavor. The project's anchor partner is VTB Bank. To date, the total investment stands at just over 50 billion rubles. Plans also include expanding the terminal. Is cargo turnover growing? Undoubtedly, among our key partners are our neighbors, the CIS countries. From 2021 to last year, the share of friendly countries in our exports increased by 85%. Russia is now among the top 5 suppliers to Brazil. Exports to China have doubled. Overall, cooperation with BRICS nations is making strong progress. Various events promoting our products abroad also play a significant role. For example, a Made in Russia festival fair was recently held in Abu Dhabi. Currently, our export capabilities are being showcased in India, with Indonesia next in the plans. However, the pioneers were the festivals in China. The leaders of the provinces where we hosted these events have approached us with requests to hold the festivals there on a regular basis. This indicates that we aren't the only ones who consider this an effective way to draw attention to Russian products, but Chinese business is also voting for the continuation of this cooperation. Naturally, this experience is vital for us to scale up this method of promoting Russian goods to other export markets. The world is also becoming familiar with the little bird in the tricolors. The voluntary Made in Russia certificate is a mark of quality that helps companies enter foreign marketplaces and participate in business missions, exhibitions, and trade fairs. Our next story comes from the Nizhny Novgorod region, featuring a company that is eager to expand its sales abroad. Made in Russia. Saktu Stupishina Sant, Kstovo, Nizhny Novgorod region. How do you improve a facility's efficiency? A proven method is automation. This Nizhny Novgorod company creates conveyor lines. You are about to see exactly where these lines are already at work and how they are improving production. This industrial landscape has the most direct relationship to logistics and the transport of various loads, products, and raw materials. The company made its first conveyors 10 years ago. When you originally started, who were your clients? For which companies did you make them? Initially, it was dairy plants, specifically everything related to bottling lines. We connected various pieces of equipment and transported the products to the warehouse in secondary packaging. Systems that streamline agricultural operations are still being actively produced. This, for instance, is their latest innovation. What is it for? This is a dry cleaning machine designed to clean potatoes. When the potatoes go in, they're fresh from the ground, so they have a thick layer of dirt on them. So the product is fed in using the hold-down device located right here. It gets pressed down, and with the help of these rollers, it goes through the full cycle. Finally, the potato comes out clean, free of dirt. It's interesting that competitors, including those from unfriendly countries, aren't giving up and keep trying to sell their solutions. But Russian companies now prefer their own. It's cheaper, and spare parts are close at hand. What's more, they are ready to produce equivalents of foreign parts right here. That is, we supply our spare parts for imported equipment. Because as far as I know, nowadays, it's almost impossible to even bring them in. And an important point, conveyors are not foreign copies at all. Most of our products are unique. I mean, we develop our solutions from scratch. It's hard to tell with components. It varies from machine to machine. Chains, fasteners, we use Russian-made. The motors, exactly the engines, are also made in Russia. Our gearboxes are Chinese. A breakdown of this equipment could bring the whole plant to a standstill. But the high degree of localization doesn't affect reliability. Right here is the milk bottling line, where the equipment throughput is up to 30,000 boxes per hour. It's used in every field, beyond just agriculture. We're talking construction supply warehouses, print shops, and waste processing. In the last 3 years alone, there have been over 40 projects. What other examples can you share with us and the viewers? We manufactured conveyor equipment for hot dip galvanizing. Is this one of them? Yes, that's exactly it. For hot dip galvanizing, it's actually really hard to find equivalents. As of today, the only equivalents in Russia I know of are American. There are also developments underway, way fillers and packaging machines. Last year, 100 units of equipment were manufactured. Plans include doubling the size of the industrial site. Is there any support provided here in terms of equipment and so on? We just got a solid loan from the IDF, the Industrial Development Fund. We have purchased new equipment. In other words, demand promises to grow. We expect that further growth in the manufacturing industry will continue, perhaps not at such a rapid pace. But nonetheless, by 2030, we anticipate cumulative growth of up to 40%. This is due in part to the implementation of a set of national technological leadership projects already launched on the instruction of President Vladimir Putin. There is demand abroad as well. Conveyors are being taken by Kazakhstan. The Russian Export Center is prepared to support the expansion of sales into new regions. But for now, the company is prioritizing the domestic market, where there is strong demand for production automation amidst the labor shortage. We are very active in the national project Labor Productivity. Now, with the launch of the new cycle of national projects, the program is being rebooted. We have traditionally been a regional leader since the very first days of the previous cycle. For participants who actively adopt lean tools and productivity enhancements, staffing needs are reduced by 41%. This means labor productivity increases by 41%. I believe that this figure can be exponentially higher. We have seen examples of specific enterprises in the Nizhny Novgorod region, where productivity increased tenfold and even 15-fold. The hero of our next story can tell us a lot about increasing labor productivity and solving complex challenges. It is the famous Kamaz automotive plant, part of the Rostec Corporation. Made in Russia. Republic of Tatarstan, Naberezhny Chelny, Moskovsky Avenue, PLEG, 159. Their latest generation model is called the K5. It is no secret that initially the developments went to foreign partners, but during the sanctions hysteria, the partner just up and left. About 2,000 items had to be replaced. Ultimately, as you can see, the truck is here, and what is most important, we have gained new expertise. Of course, it was impossible to just replace all foreign components at the snap of a finger. Not all suppliers were ready to adapt so quickly to these changed conditions. So, accordingly, this way took us a little longer to finalize the design. Well, let's put it this way. In a perfect world, it takes 2-3 years. We did it in a year. For example, the electrics and electronics were replaced. So, what this means is that we can implement remote diagnostics. We can implement and have already implemented a telematics service. This includes real-time tracking of the vehicle, its location, speed, fuel consumption, and reading fault codes if there are any. To produce the cabins, a new plant was built in just a year and a half. Right here, for instance, they are bonding the glass. Overall, are there many Russian parts? Well, if we talk about the localization level comparing how it was to how it is now, then currently, at least 80% of our modern truck consists of localized components. And there will be more in-house parts. Starting as early as the second quarter of this year, we are launching pilot batches and beginning the installation of our own hypoid axles. Production volumes will also increase. Moreover, the modernization of the assembly line will take place without shutting it down. While our current capacity stands at approximately 20,000 cabins per year, we are now building capacity for 60,000 cabins per year. So that means cabins won't be moved manually anymore. Instead, there will be an automated roller conveyor. Actually, the K5 represents 5 families of vehicles. There are smaller cabins for trips up to 1,000 kilometers, and there are larger ones. The long-haul tractor covers thousands of kilometers, and this means that the cabin essentially becomes a second home for the driver. Here you have a seat with tons of adjustments, and the electronic dashboard is right at your fingertips. There are 2 bunks, and importantly, you can stand up to your full height. And mine, mind you, is 1.90 meters. They say it's not that hard to drive either. Shall we give it a try? Well, actually, I've driven a few laps here. I can say that truly, the handling is quite easy. Obviously, when you have a load in the back, it's a different story. But nevertheless, automatic transmission, comfortable seat, fantastic visibility. In my opinion, it's an excellent modern truck. And what about the heart? A new engine was developed for this truck. It is more powerful than previous models. Specifically, this particular engine is a 13-liter unit with 460 horsepower. This makes it highly efficient and economical, and it offers superior performance characteristics. How Russian is it? Well, it is a fully Russian engine. It was developed by specialists at PJSC Kamaz, specifically for this vehicle. The assembly line features special protection against assembly errors. Critical joints are tightened using a special tool that records all torque values linked to the serial number. So the line won't let go of an engine that's not completed by the station. The plan for this year is to assemble 10,000 engines, including gas-powered ones. The line allows for 3 times the production output as demand for the K5 grows. We produced about 1,000 units last year, and right now, we are selling them. Of course, our main production is the 901 model. Several dozen roll off the assembly line every day. There are also export shipments to the CIS. The Russian Export Center has been assisting with promotion since 2011. This includes both financial and non-financial instruments. Overall, the list of support measures in the REC Russian Export Center arsenal is extensive. It ranges from training and participation in business missions to the reimbursement of logistics costs. To assist with this, there is the My Export digital platform, launched as part of the national project. It is designed both for experienced business people and for those just asking where to start. Undoubtedly, for preferential programs to remain effective, suitable conditions are required. With the current key interest rate, budget expenditures to compensate for the gap to bring the rate down to a competitive level are, of course, much higher. Therefore, this is a serious constraining factor, and we cannot help but be concerned. It risks the loss of certain markets and the freezing of a number of projects that our partners might start implementing with our competitors instead. We hope that export support parameters will eventually adjust to formats and conditions that will allow our exports to remain attractive to our partners. Returning to the plant, let's see what else they have to surprise clients, including international ones. There is this crew bus, or here, a dump truck. Right now, final adjustments are underway following testing. Can you give us a forecast? When do you plan to start deliveries? This year, and on a broad scale, next year. As for the K5, work is already underway on the 6th generation, the unmanned one. Experience in using such technologies is being actively gained. We have driverless vehicles operating on the M11 route between Moscow and St. Petersburg. At the end of last year, we delivered 12 next-generation vehicles. Before that, it was just a trial run, but now the goal for this year is the next batch. But behind all of this lie the destinies of thousands of specialists, and the story could have been completely different. Depressing, even if this city-forming enterprise hadn't managed to use sanctions as a springboard for development. Just like the other heroes of our program, who provide jobs, transport cargo, and create infrastructure vital to the Russian economy.